Chopin's Revolutionary Etude works well for small hands, although of course you need to be able to reach an octave comfortably. Let me show you some fingerings that I found and some strategies for a couple of tricky spots. It's a really good idea to start practicing this piece in a simplified way, so you're not even dealing with the 16ths in the left hand, but you're just dealing with the octaves. And the best way that I know to practice octaves is to start out by just playing one single melody line with whatever finger comes naturally. And then in this case, you can do a very simple bass along with it. And then once you've got that, and you really know where your harmonies are, you know where your melody's going, you've really had a chance to think about the shape of the piece and some of your musical decisions, then you do the same thing, but instead of using whatever finger comes naturally, you use just your thumbs. That will really teach your arm where it needs to go without you having to be holding the shape of the octave all the time. It can also be a really nice place for you to start reminding yourself from the get-go that anytime you have a long note, you don't need to push it down, you don't need to press, all you need to do is just hang out on that keyboard and let your hand relax. Then once you've got that, then you can play the octaves. Another place where simplified practice will really, really help you is in measures 29 to 32. You can play this left hand as chords with chromatic lower neighbors. So you have this. Here's the G sharp chord, and there's just a little neighbor. So you can play neighbor to chord, neighbor to chord, neighbor to chord. And then the next one is D sharp minor. And by the way, he very nicely has the right hand playing exactly the chord that you're neighboring, right? So measure 29, we have G sharp minor chord. Then we go to a D sharp minor chord. Then we have an F sharp minor chord in measure 31. And then we have C sharp minor chord. By the way, at the end of measure 32, going into measure 33, I recommend doing 2, 1, 3 for the last two 16ths in the left hand into the downbeat. So you're going to have your C sharp minor chord, and then I just jump. Now in all these right hand chords, you're going to want to find comfortable positions, and you're going to want to decide which fingers you want to use for the middle. It can be really useful to relax on the octave and move the fingers around. And you might actually just do this as an exercise. Like take 4 and 3, I'm just going to hang out on 5 and 1, and then do 4 and 3 here. This is starting to get a little bit unhappy. I probably don't want to come much more there. So now maybe I'll switch to 3 and 2. I can't quite do this. So that might be a good exercise to find your way to different comfortable shapes. When you have an octave with a second at the very bottom, like here in measure 5, just splat them down with your thumb on both notes. In measures 15 and 16, for these octaves in the left hand, I like to use 5-1. So I do 5-1, and then 5, and then from the thumb down to the 5, and then 5, and then the thumb down to the 9th. measure measures 25 and 26, you really have to let go of the left hand pinky. And then let go of 3 to rotate up to the octave. If you really can't do from 3 to the thumb, you can try doing 5, 3, 2, 5, 1. But I think that if you rotate, you might surprise yourself. The main thing is that when you're playing down from here to the pinky, to that B flat, you're really going to need a position that I call the one-eared llama. The one-eared llama is a hand position that might seem sort of strange, but can actually be really, really useful and helpful. So if you imagine that your hand and your arm are a llama, here's two-eared llama, hello, with this being the body, and this being the neck, and this being the head, ears, nose, mouth. The distance between the ear and the nose is actually really far, and if you let your hand close, it can help you find the shape that you need. So just to really show you the difference between what's possible with a flat hand stretching and what's possible with a one-eared llama, this is about as far as I can stretch my fourth finger and fifth finger apart. And it doesn't feel great, and it's not that far. So if I take this distance, and then I turn my other hand into a one-eared llama, look at how much farther I can reach between 5 and 4. And of course it's true in both hands. So the one-eared llama reminds us that we are three-dimensional creatures, and that we're going to sometimes need strange hand positions that are not just your typical 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 position, but that you can find the comfortable position that will let you get to where you need to go. So it's not that the hand is in complete llama position here, but the possibility of llama lets us have the fourth finger and even the third finger be on the team of the hand with the thumb, so that when we do this moment, it's much easier to reach than if we try and stretch this way. And if we do it this way, then our hand is closed and we're ready to do this turning. So there's a big turn, a little turn, a big turn, a little turn. In measures 27 and 28, the fingering can be tricky for those of us with small hands, and I recommend doing 5, 3, 2, 1, 5, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 5, and then you can either do 1, 2, 3, 1 down to the 5, but I actually like to do 1, 2, 3, 5 down to the 5. In measure 66 for the left hand, different editions suggest different things, but I like to use 5, 1, 5, 3, 2, 1. So here's 5, 1, and then I close the hand, 5, 3, 2, 1, and then I'm ready to play the rest of the scale. And some places suggest doing at the end 1, 2, 3, 1, which you can definitely do. But I find myself in practice more often doing 1, 2, 3, 4, and then llama down to the B. Now you might notice that I just called that first note a B, and that you don't see a B, you see a C flat. And I don't know about you, but I do not like reading C flats and F flats, especially when there's an easier way of thinking about it. And this horrible chord is actually an E major chord. So I really like to think of this measure in E major, and in fact I do think of this measure in E major, except for when I'm glancing at the score. But if I'm not, this is the E major measure. It's easier to think about it that way, and I think it makes it easier to play too. So here, and the fingering that I like here is 5-1, 3-2-1-2-3, 1-5. And in measure 68 for the left hand, I like to use 5-1, and then really let the hand close and do 5-3-1, 2-3-4, and then 1-2-3, and then 1-2-3-4, 1-5. So altogether that's in measure 80 to 81, you can let that middle C and the right thumb go. So I hope some of those fingerings will be helpful for you. Remember to find comfortable hand position and go from hand position to hand position that's comfortable, and to rotate the big leaps, and to leave out notes where you have to. Enjoy the revolutionary etude, and let me know if you have any questions. Good luck.